Good morning, students. Okay, welcome back to your social class. I hope you would have revised or read whatever I have taught you in the last class. Okay, now we'll continue with the lesson Sources of Medieval History. So I'll just give a small recap of the previous class. So we are going to learn about medieval India. Medieval is nothing but Middle India. So we had already learned in the previous classes that we have got sources to know about Middle India. So we have two important sources, primary and secondary source. Primary source is what we see. That is, we see the inscriptions, coins, monuments. These are all primary sources, what we see directly and learn from them. Secondary sources are the books which are written by travelers and writers and kings about the rule, how they ruled India and what was the condition in India. So we learn from their source. From those books we learn what happened during medieval India. So that is a secondary source. So previous class we had learnt about two primary sources, that is inscriptions and monuments. I hope you remember that. The third primary source is coins. So last time I had told you, but we didn't learn about coins. So now coming to coins, you know, they have made coins when the kings ruled during their period. They have made coins of their own choice. So it's like a icon for them, icon for their rule. Okay, so they have the pictures and legends of and the names of those kings in those coins. Okay, then they also have the titles of the kings, the portraits. Portraits is nothing but the pictures of the kings, the events, the places, the dates, the dynasties and the logo. So all these are there. Inscribed on the coin. So when you look at those coins, you will come to know about all these details. Who were the kings who ruled during that period, how did they look, and what are some of the events that took place, and also the metals that they used for making coins. From those metals we will be able to know the economic condition of that place. So how do you know the economic condition? See, in case if it is a very rich kingdom or a very rich dynasty, what do? They use silver coins. Okay, but if it is only they're not so rich, then they go in for copper coins or other metal coins. So from the metal composition of the coins we will be able to know the economic condition of medieval India, and also we will be able to know about the king's achievements. From the coins we will also be able to know about the achievements, that is a military conquest, how they expanded their kingdom, what are the trade links that they had, and the religious faith. So just a coin, we just think it is just a coin, but you see from those coins how much of details we are able to know. Okay, and even Muhammad Ghori is a Turkish invader who came to India. During his period, what did he do? He made gold coins, and in that gold coin he had a figure of goddess Lakshmi in that gold coin. See, he is a Turkish invader, but you see he is very liberal in his religious outlook. So he doesn't feel that, okay, I am a Turkish invader, why should I put a Hindu goddess in this coin? But he had the figure of appearance of the Hindu goddess Lakshmi in the gold coin, and he had his name inscribed, whose name, Muhammad Ghori's name was inscribed in the coin, but the figure that was there was goddess Lakshmi. And also see, you have to know this information. They made silver coins called silver tanka. That means 1 jittal is equal to 3.6 grains of silver. 1 jittal is equal to 3.6 grains of silver, and 48 jittals is equal to 1 silver tanka. So this is very important information that you have to know. So here you can see these copper jittals. From these copper jittals we will be able to know about the Delhi Sultanate Empire. Then the silver tanka, this was introduced by the Iltutmish. Then Alauddin Khilji, he introduced gold coins, and Muhammad bin Tughlaq, he introduced copper currency. So from all this we will be able to know about their role. See, for example, this copper jittals which was introduced by this Delhi Sultanate, we will be able to know about the rule of the Delhi Sultanate in India, and also the Iltutmish. From the silver tanka we will be able to know how was their rule. So all these details that are there in the coins will tell us though it doesn't give a full detail, but we will at least be able to know a few details. No, it is only one of the sources, so it will give us a few details about their rule, about the kingdom, about the condition which was there. All this we will be able to know. And Alauddin Khilji, he introduced gold coin. So from this we will be able to know that during Alauddin Khilji's rule, it was a very rich dynasty, so he was able to make gold coins. So this is about the primary source. So now what are the three primary sources that we learned? Inscriptions, monuments, coins. These are the primary sources. Why do I say these are the primary sources? Because we directly know from them. We directly see these coins, okay, or maybe we see it in a video or a picture, which you know when you browse your Google, you will be able to see these coins. Or monuments, you can go in person also. When you are visiting some places, you can visit these monuments and you can see for yourself, know how the monuments are made and what are the details given there. So you can see it yourself, okay. And then inscriptions, as I told you, they are writings on solid surfaces. So when you read those writings, you will be able to know how was the role. So these are all primary sources. Now coming to the secondary sources, I told you secondary sources are the books or details written by some other person. They are secondary sources. So we are not seeing it directly, but another person is writing, and when you read that, you will be able to know how was the condition during that period. So here you have the secondary sources. Secondary sources, you have the religious literature. Okay, so first is religious literature. You see the devotional movement during that time. So devotional movement in South India and North India led to the Bhakti or devotional literature. So during the Middle India, there was a lot of devotional movements in India. So in South India as well as North India. So because of that, it led to the writings of Bhakti and devotional literature. Especially during the Chola period, you can see a lot of devotional literatures being done. So during Chola period only, Kamba Ramayana was done. Then Sekirar's Periya Puranam was done. Okay, then Nalayara Divya Prabandham. This Nalayara Divya Prabandham was composed by 12 Alvars. So you must know the difference between composed, and you must also know the difference between composed and compiled. Composed means written. It has been written, and compiled is they have taken all this and put together as a book. So one person or a few people have written that, and a few people have put together as a book. So this Nalayara Divya Prabandham was composed, written by 12 Alvars and compiled. So all these written by 12 Alvars, all these books or writings were collected and they were put as a single book by Nadamuni. Okay, so composed by 12 Alvars and compiled by Nadamuni. Then Devaram. Devaram was composed by Appar Sundarar Manikavasagar. Okay, so Appar Sambandar and Manikavasagar. These three people have composed Devaram, written Devaram, and it was compiled and it was put as a book by Nambi Andar Nambi. Okay, and you also have Manikavasagar's Tiruvasagam and you have Jayadev's Gangai Konda. These two books are these books also come under devotional literature. So you can see during the Chola period, so many books based on religious literature were done. So from these books we will be able to know about the life of people during Middle India. Okay, so that is also a source. And there was another poet whose name is Kabir Das. He is a 15th century poet, and he also promoted devotional literature. So this is devotional or religious. What is devotional or religious? Which is related to religion. So all these books are related to religion, or you can say devoted to religious issues. Okay. Then you have secular literature. Secular literature means it's opposite of religious literature. Religious literature has some connection with religion. Okay, but secular literature, it is not connected with religion. It is something which is general. It doesn't have anything to do with religion. So secular literature is apart from religion. Apart from religion, what they write, that is secular literature. So here you have Madhura Vijayam. This Madhura Vijayam and Amukta Muktalaya. These two are poems. They are written by Krishna Deva Raya. So from these poems you will be able to know the events and individuals who were there in the Vijayanagar Empire. So these two poems, Madura Vijayam and Amukta Malyukta, these are poems which tell us about the Vijayanagar Empire. Then Chanbardai, this was written by Prithviraj Raso. From this book we will be able to know about the Rajput king's valor. So you have several dynasties, Tughlaq dynasty, Mughal dynasty, then Rajput dynasty. So Rajput, they are a group of people, like a different community. So what is valor means courage. So how the kings of the Rajput kings, how courageous they were, all this you will be able to know from this. Then you also have the pre-Islamic period. But for this what do you mean by pre-Islamic period? That is a period before the Islamic period is called as a pre-Islamic. Pre means before. So before the Islamic period you have this pre-Islamic period. Okay, so for this there is only one book which gives evidence about this period, that is Kalhana's Rajatarangini. Kalhana's Rajatarangini is the only book which gives us detail about this pre-Islamic period. So these are the secondary sources, that is religious literature and also secular literature. Then you have the books, biographies and autobiographies, that I will tell you after after all this is over, I'll tell you. Okay, so apart from this religious literature, secular literature, you also have books written by different authors. So the books, their names, the authors' names, and what was there in the book, what is the information provided by the book, that I will tell you. Okay, before that we will finish this travels and travelogues. Okay, so these are also secondary sources. Okay, so this is one kind of a literature, this is secular literature, and here these are also books, but they are travels and travelogues. What do you mean by travels and travelogues? You have travelers coming from different countries. Okay, and these travelers, they came to India, okay, and during different periods, maybe Pandya kingdom or Chola rule or the Rajput rule or Islamic rule. So whichever period they came, they wrote about that period, that is the places they visited, and the importance of those places during that period was written by these travelers. That is what we call as a travelogues. Travelogues is nothing but a detailed description of their travel. The book which gives a detailed description of their travel is called as a travelogues. So first here in this list you have Marco Polo. Marco Polo, he is a Venetian traveler. Okay, he's a Venetian traveler. He came to India when the Pandya kingdom was a leading kingdom at that time, during the 13th century must be. So that time Pandya kingdom was a leading kingdom, so he came to India during that time. Marco Polo, Venetian traveler. So he came to Kyle. Kyle is a port city. You know what is a port city? Port is nothing but a city which has a harbor, is called as a port city. Now this Kyle, now it is in Thoothukudi. Okay, so he came to this Kyle and he saw that there were so many ships from Arabia and China had arrived at this port. So he has written about the ships which have arrived at that port during that time. Okay, and he also told that many horses have been imported from Arabia and China to India through ship. So all these are a few details which are written in his travelogues. But if you read, you will have a lot of details, but we cannot tell all the details now. So only these are the important details. So he wrote about he came to Kyle and he wrote about this port city, about Kyle, and he said about the ships which are there, okay, and what were the things that were imported in the ship. Then you have Al-Biruni. He is a 11th century poet, okay, and he came to India and he was accompanied by Muhammad of Ghazni during his campaign. That is when he came to India, Al-Biruni, he was accompanied by Muhammad of Ghazni, and he stayed for 10 years in India, and he traveled throughout India, and he wrote about the importance of all the places in India, and he also learnt Sanskrit. Okay, and he also learned Sanskrit and philosophy in India. So that is about Al-Biruni. Next traveler is Ibn Battuta. Ibn Battuta, he came to India during the 4th century. He is an Arab-born Morocco scholar. Okay, and he traveled from Morocco. From Morocco, he came to North Africa, then he came to Egypt, then he came to Central Asia, and then he came to India. And he has also written a travelogue. That travelogue is called as a Rilla. Rilla means the travels. It means the travels. So this travels, this book, it contains rich details about the people and the countries that he visited. Who? Ibn Battuta. So whichever, sorry, not Ibn Battuta, it is yes, Ibn Battuta. So whichever country he visited India, okay, and he wrote about all the places that he visited, okay, and he wrote about the richness of those places, and he also gave the details about those countries. So he wrote, say for example, he also traveled to Egypt. So whichever country he went, he wrote what was important in that country. See, for example, when he visited Egypt, Egypt was rich at that time. So he wrote that Egypt was rich. Okay, and he also, when he came to India, when he visited India, that time the caste system was prevalent in India. So he wrote about the caste system and also sati. Of course, I think you know about the practice of sati. So sati means nothing but those days and all, the girls, they were got married at a very younger age. So when they were small itself, they got married to men, and what happens is suddenly when these men pass away, they have to jump into the fire of the funeral fire of the husband. So that practice is called sati. So those practices and also caste system was prevalent in India when Ibn Battuta, when he visited India. So he wrote about all this in his travelogues. Okay, so he wrote about Egypt, he wrote about India also, and then he wrote about how the Indian traders, they were carrying on a very brisk business with the foreign traders. And then when he came to India, Delhi was a very magnificent city. So he wrote about Delhi also. So that is a travelogue of Ibn Battuta. Next you have another traveler, that is this traveler, he visited south. In the south he visited Vijayanagar Empire. Okay, and he gave a lot of details about it. So who's this is? He is an Italian named Niccolo Conti. So Niccolo Conti, he was a traveler who came to Vijayanagar, okay, and in the year 1420. And also another traveler, Abdul Razak, he also came to Central Asia. Then Domingos Paes, okay, he is a Portuguese traveler. He also visited India during the year 1522. All of them, they have recorded all these observations. So they all have visited the South Vijayanagar Empire. Okay, this Portuguese traveler, then the Venetian traveler, all these travelers, they have visited India. And they have given a detailed, they have observed and given a detailed account. Portuguese sailor is Domingos Paes. Okay, Italian traveler is Niccolo Conti. So they have all given a detailed account of the South Indian kingdom, that is Vijayanagar Empire. They have visited that place and they have given a detailed account of that place, the people who are living there, and all the places of importance and the richness there, the trade that they had done. All these will be there in their travelogues. So from all this we will be able to know about the Middle India, the people in Middle India, the rule of the kings during Middle India, and what are the importance of the places, okay, what trade was carried on during that time, okay, and how did the countries prosper, what was the economic status of the country. All this will be revealed in their books. So these are all secondary sources. So I told you, you also have books, biographies and autobiographies. So now we will go to that. We will know about the books, the authors and the importance of those books. Okay, now you can see here, look at this chart, some books of medieval India. So I have given you the account of the books and the author and what information the book provides. Okay, so apart from the religious literature, secular literature, travels and travelogues, you also have other books. Okay, see, for example, the first one I have written here is Tabaqat-e-Nazri. Tabaqat-e-Nazri, the author was Minhaj-us-Siraj. Okay, this Minhaj-us-Siraj is a writer. He was patronized. Patronized means supported. He was supported by Sultan Nizam-ud-Din Muhammad of slave dynasty. You must know that, that's very important. He was patronized by Nizam-ud-Din Muhammad of slave dynasty. So he has written this book Tabaqat-e-Nazri Minhaj-us-Siraj. Okay, and what information does it provide? It tells you about the period from the conquest of Muhammad Ghori up to AD 1260. So from the time Muhammad Ghori invaded India till AD 1260, it gives information about that period. Next book is Taj-ud-Malasir. Taj-ud-Malasir, written by Hasan Nizami. So this book gives you information about Qutbuddin Aibak. This Qutbuddin Aibak was the first official of Delhi Sultanate. The next book is Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi. Tariq-e-Firoz Shahi. This book was written by Ziya-ud-Barni. Ziya-ud-Barni. So this book gives information about the history of Delhi Sultanate. The next book is Tariq-e-Frishta. The next book is Tariq-e-Frishta. It was written by Ferishta. The author is Ferishta. Okay, so this book gives information about the 16th century, India during the 16th century, and the history of rise of Mughal power in India. Then you have Babarnama. Babarnama, written by Babar. This is an autobiography. So I told you what is autobiography. A book written by a person about himself is called as autobiography. So you have Babarnama here. It was written by Babar and it gives information about Babar. Then you have Ain-i-Akbari, Akbarnama. These two books, Ain-i-Akbari and Akbarnama, these two books were written by Abul Faisal and gives information about Emperor Akbar, about his rule, about his personality, about his kingdom. Everything will be there in that book. Then Task-e-Jahangiri. Task-e-Jahangiri is a book written by Jahangir. He writes about his own period. So it is also something like an autobiography. He writes about his own period. Then you have Tabaqat-e-Akbari. Tabaqat-e-Akbari, written by Nizamuddin Ahmed. Then you have Tariq-e-Badoni. It's written by Badoni. Tariq-e-Badoni, written by Badoni. It tells about Akbar's reign. Reign means rule. Okay, Akbar's rule, his administration, how he ruled the kingdom, and also about his religious policies. So I hope you would have understood. Okay, I hope you would have understood all this, children. Okay, so now just a recap of this lesson. So in the beginning I had told you sources of medieval India. Medieval India is Middle India. How do we get to know about the Middle Indians and the condition of Middle India? So all these details we will get through the sources. Sources are, I told you, they are evidences that we have. So two sources, primary and secondary source. Primary source you have inscriptions, coins and monuments. Secondary sources you have all these books, these religious literature, secular literature. Then you have these normal books, and also you have travels and travelogues. So all these are the sources. So from, I told you, I gave you a short description of all these books and who are the people who came to India and what are the books that they wrote and what was the condition and how do we get to know about the people, their rule of the kings, about different places. Everything is given there. So from all these sources we will be able to know about Middle India. That is how we learn about each. Otherwise we were not there when there were Middle Indians, where they lived during Middle India, and also during the reign of those kings we were not there to witness it directly, but how are we able to know about all these things? From all these sources. So that is how we learn history. These are the sources which you must know. So you might wonder, how is it written in the books? How do we know all these things? How does a person who writes the book, how does he know about all this? How do they know? They know from all these sources only. They get the information and they give us the information. So keeping all this in mind, we can just continue with the next lesson. I hope you would have understood all these. Okay, now what you do is you just go through. I think you will have the PDF. The teachers have sent you the PDF of all the books. So get that PDF. Just read the lesson and fill the exercises that are given at the end of the lesson. You try to fill the exercises which are given at the end of the lesson. Next class we will go through all the exercises, okay, and then we will move on to the next lesson. And also we will give you the worksheet. Please complete the worksheet and send it back to us. We will also be giving you the class notes. So you take your classwork, okay, and you write the name of the lesson, okay, name of the lesson. You write history lesson 1, write the date, and then you write down the notes in your classwork. Is that clear for you, children? Okay, thank you.